Good morning. Uh, my name's psychotherapist or counselor Aaron Mwansa from Light Institute of Counseling, Zambia, and I am a trainer in the field of psychosocial counseling and clinical counseling, as well as all other counseling courses. And today we're going to look at the introduction to counseling, or introduction to psychosocial counseling. First of all, we have to understand that counseling has been practiced for as long as mankind has been in existence. That is when our forefathers were existing. Okay, counseling has been existing for a long time, and we have two major types of counseling. The first one is known as customary counseling, and the second one is known as professional counseling. So there are two types of counseling, as mentioned earlier: customary and professional counseling. Professional counseling is the modern counseling that we are talking about, which is the one that is practiced for these days. Customary counseling is the oldest type of counseling and currently practiced by traditional counselors who are known as alangizi, bashibukombe na akoswe. The customary way of counseling is practiced by these people we know as alangizi, bashibukombe, akoswe. Okay, these are selected based on a socially approved attributes such as a successful marriage, religious affiliation, and personal character. Okay, these they are selected on a socially approved attributions such as successful marriage, religious affiliation, and personal character. So these people on the customary way of counseling, their type of counseling is based on their affiliations, the attributes. Okay, example given: if someone has stayed into marriage for a very long period of time, that person has got an experience, okay, of how to live in marriage, so they counsel according to the experience that they have in marriage. That goes to the religious affiliation, equally some personal character. All right, so when we talk about professional counseling has also been recognized in Zambia, and its impact in the mitigation of psychosocial problems such as gender-based violence, alcoholism, lifestyle and diseases, infertility and sex issues, adultery, separation and divorce, HIV and AIDS, financial and property disputes, difficulties in laws, loss and grief, stress and depression. Those are a few to mention, things that are looked at or things that we target when it comes to professional counseling. All right, now considering the complex nature of life today, professional counseling is systemized and carried out more scientifically with the application of professional skills and techniques. Okay, professional skills and techniques. That means that one cannot become a counselor if the person has not acquired skills and techniques. Okay, if the person has not undergone a training, okay, for them to understand what counseling is all about. So now, if one can ask a question, what is counseling? What is counseling? All right, what is counseling? The World Health Organization defines counseling as a process of dialogue and mutual interaction aimed at one, facilitating problem solving, motivating, and decision making. Okay, the World Health Organization defines counseling as a process of dialogue and mutual interaction aimed at facilitating problem solving, motivating, and also decision making. We say counseling is a talking treatment that provides assistance and guidance in resolving personal or psychological problems, such difficulties by a trained person. In other ways, we say counseling is a process by which a skilled helper helps a troubled person who is a client to behave in a more personal manner. Okay, it's a process by which a skilled helper helps a troubled person who is a client to behave in a more personal manner. The skilled helper that we're talking about here is a trained counselor who has undergone some counseling theories, some counseling skills, and some counseling techniques. All right. Other definition that we can give: counseling is a two-way communication process that helps people look at their personal issues, make decisions, and plan how to take action. It's a two-way communication process that helps people look at their personal issues, make decisions, and also plan on how to take action. All right. So now, when we want to understand psychosocial, this is a two-word combination. All right. There is psycho and social. The first one that we're going to talk about is psycho. Psycho denotes the psychological elements which refer to thoughts, feelings, attitudes, beliefs, perceptions, normally understand as the internal world of the person, the inner person, or simply the mind. So psycho means the mind. Are we together? Psycho means the mind. It's the internal, the inner person inside the person. So the only thing that you cannot touch or see on the human body is the mind. That is the inner person. Okay? The thoughts, you cannot see thoughts, feelings, attitudes, beliefs, and perceptions. That is what makes the mind. So psycho means mind. Social implies the environmental interactions. Social implies on the environmental interactions. Home influences, relationships, schoolwork, church, community, or neighborhood influences, ethnicity, effects of climate. We talk of geographical location and all things that stimulate the senses, or simply the external world, things that are physical, those that are seen. Okay, those that are seen. Now, defining the whole term psychosocial counseling. Psychosocial counseling is a helping professional relationship used in healthy and social care setting that looks at individuals and their problems in the context of combined influence, e.g., psychological and the surrounding social environment, factors and their influence on the physical, mental, and emotional well-being, and the ability to function. Okay, it's a helping relationship used in healthy social care setting that looks at individual and their problems. So psychosocial counseling, we talk about problems that affect people psychologically, those which affected them. We target to heal their mind. We don't heal their mind medically, but we use psychology in healing their mind. Okay? Looking at their emotional well-being, their mental status, their ability of functioning. That's what we target as psychologists, as counselors, or as psychotherapists. We look at a social patterns within the individual and how they affect their psychological functioning, and vice versa. Hence, there is a linear relationship between cause and effect. There is a linear relationship between cause and effect. Psychological health in people that we look at. 1, feel good about themselves. Clients, they need to feel good about themselves. Our target as counselors is to make our clients feel good about themselves. We need to make them feel comfortable with other people. This is why when we'll be looking at counseling skills, there is what we call rapport building. We need to make our client get close to us, feel comfortable with also other people. Let them feel free to share their problems with us as counselors. All right? Control tension and anxiety. Clients must be able to control their tension and anxiety when they have talked to a counselor. Are able to meet the demands of life. We need to make our clients meet the demands of life. Cube hate and guilt. We need to make our clients cube hate and guilt. They don't need to feel hate about themselves. They don't need to feel guilt about themselves of whatever they are going through in life. Okay? Maintain a positive outlook. They need to maintain their positive outlook in everything that they do. Value diversity. Appreciate and respect nature. Enrich the lives of others. In counseling, there are what we call counseling theories. I hope we have understood so far from the introduction of whatever we have spoken about previously. We are going to turn into what is known as counseling theories. The counseling professional has been developed from a number of theories and principles such as 1. Psychoanalytic theory, behavioral theory, cognitivist behavioral theory, humanistic theory, and the electric combined approach to counseling. All right, these are theories that we're going to look at. Counseling was written by different theologians, those who embarked on a journey of researching on how counseling can be developed, on how one can interact with the client, and also come to study their mind and also understand their problem. So before you come to know the client better, you need to understand the theories of counseling and understanding how these theories were developed and who developed. Okay. The first one that we talked about is psychoanalytic theory, developed by Sigmund Freud, 1856 to 1939. Okay, Sigmund Freud, 1856 to 1939. All right, Sigmund Freud, 1856 to 1839. So now, this theory says that experience in the past influences the present. Experience in the past influences the present. Meaning, what a person undergoes in the past or what the person experienced in the past can come to affect the present. Okay? That is what is known as repression in the other languages. It's repression. So most of times people, they are affected by their past experience, just because of maybe how they were raised or maybe how they were brought up. At times it comes to affect or influence the present. E.g., if a woman or a girl, she was raped maybe on the age of 12, as in the time of when she matures to reach on the extent or maybe the age of where she needs to get married, there are women where they will say, okay, men are dogs, because they're afraid of what they passed in they went through in the past. They're afraid of what they went through in the past, and that affects or influences their present. Second point, we say everything we have ever done or felt is stored in our memory. However, we may not remember some of these things because they may be stored in our subconscious mind. So whatever we have done or felt in our life is ever stored in our mind. Remember, we're dealing with the mind when we talk about psychosocial. Anything that the person has ever undergone in life is stored in the mind, or that can be stored in the subconscious mind, our subconscious mind. Now, Freud believes that from birth to the age of 12, we have certain basic needs, and that unless these are fulfilled, we will grow up repressed and unable to function well. He believed that these areas influence our whole life. There are certain things that we are born with, and these we grow with them until the age of 12. There are those basic needs that we really want in life, or those which we want to be close to. And these, if they are not fulfilled, we grow, or people grow being repressed and unable to function well. Okay? They grow and unable to function well. Okay? They are unable to function well. That is what is known as repression. When you are growing up, you are maybe given an example, a child who's grown without seeing his father for a long time. Okay, they grow with that hatred in them. In the end, as they grow, when they reach on a certain stage, because they are repressed, it reaches on the time when they want to see their father. But if they have not, their function, because of not having the parental love from both sides, the child's mind will not function well as according to the way they are supposed to be. There will be that repression in them. Okay, that is about psychoanalytic theory. Second one, we talk about behavioral counseling theory. We are born as blank slates. Okay, we are born as blank slates. Everything we are as individuals, we have learned from other people or from our experiences in life. What we do, what we believe in, what we have seen, and what we have heard, many things we have learned them from other people or from our past experience. You have learned them from other people or from your past experience. All right? Learning does not change us completely, so behavior learned can also be unlearned. What we learn from other people does not mean that it can change us. Those behaviors cannot change us. The same way that we learn them, the same way that you learn them, they can also be unlearned. We can unlearn thoughts, feelings, and behavior that distress us and repress them by learning better ways of thinking, feeling, and behaving. This theory deals with behavior in the here and now. The past is insignificant. The past is insignificant. All right. The counselor asks the client to act rather than talk. It's important for you as a counselor to ask your client to act than to talk. Counselors will help clients identify and make specific plans to change their lives. We as counselors, we help our clients identify and make specific plans to change their lives. We don't make decisions for our clients, but we help. Remember, counseling is a helping process of changing the behavior or the thoughts of our client. So now, the emphasis is to put on clients' responsibilities for their behavior. Our emphasis as counselors is to put on clients' responsibility for their behavior to change. Okay? Behavioral therapy helps the clients to develop self-management skills. The behavioral therapy helps the client to develop self-management skills. Behavior is miserable, and also the outcome of counseling can be measured. Behavior can be miserable. So the outcome of counseling can it be measured. B.F. Skinner also said that since most of the behaviors are learned, therefore they can be unlearned, and demonstrated this using the term conditioning. This is to say that if human beings are continually exposed to certain situations, they eventually become accustomed, conditioned, and will no longer have to think about the situation before reacting to it. Experiment of the dog, food, and bells, associative learning. He therefore believed that even if behavior is difficult to change, they can change their thought, training or retraining, rewards or punishment, compliments of clients for coming. All right, compliments of clients for coming. This can change the behavior. When you compliment someone about the good thing that they've done, it changes the behavior. That's why most of times parents in homes, you see, we make our children worse when it comes to school matters. Instead of complimenting their good work, their efforts of what they have got in terms of their marks, we yell at them, we say bad words to them. No, this, that, I'm wasting a lot of money, I pay a lot of money, and then these are the things that you can bring and all that stuff. So that is not encouraging the child to improve in terms of their results. But when we compliment, we encourage them to improve. Number 3, there's what we call cognitive behavioral counseling theory. Cognitive behavioral counseling theory. Aaron Beck, 1921, just like my name. Aaron Beck, 1921, and Albert Ellis, 1913, developed this theory. The theory states that all human beings are rational and have the capacity to reason. All human beings, we are rational and we have the capacity to reason. Every person has got that sense of reasoning. Even if as we counselors speak to our clients, we must make sure that we reach on that point of our clients beginning to reason. No two people will respond to an event in the same way. So it is not events that produce bad feelings, but the way these events are interpreted. The way those events are interpreted. Emotions and behavior are determined by thinking. Emotions and behaviors of people, they are determined by thinking. Emotional disorders result from negative and unrealistic, maladaptive thinking, and that by altering this maladaptive thinking, emotional disturbance can be reduced. Okay? Can be reduced in counseling. Clients may only be semi-aware of maladaptive thinking when they have childhood experiences, which may be origin of maladaptive patterns of thinking, but their thinking here and now is more significant. In CBC, CBC means cognitive behavioral counseling. All right. Counselors will help clients understand how their thinking influences their emotional response and behavior. Counselors will help clients. We counselors help clients understand how their thinking influences their emotional responses and their behavior. This may be done through logical discussion to challenge negative, realistic thinking by examining the evidence for and against such thinking. This may be done through logical discussion to challenge negative and unrealistic thinking by examining the evidence for and against such thinking. All right, we counselors challenge our clients of their negative and unrealistic thinking when we examine the evidence and against such thinking. Okay, the counselor and client will also agree tasks, homework, as with behavioral counseling, so that the client can check out the results of different ways of thinking. The counselor and client collaborate to achieve the goals of cognitive behavioral counseling, CBC. In this theory, Albert Ellis stated that it is not events that force people to have emotional and behavior or behavioral reactions, but it is their interpretations or thoughts about the event that causes emotional and behavior. It is their interpretation or thoughts about events that causes emotion and behavior. There is a formula that we call A, B, C under CBT. Under CBC. All right, we'll continue from cognitive behavioral theory or cognitive behavioral counseling. Well, we've said of the formula ABC, activating events, which is A, B, belief system, values, then C, we talk about consequences. So we'll continue from here in the next episode of our lesson. Good day.